Um, and do it like, okay, that's kind of weird, but that'll work actually. And get rid of that. There we go. Perfect. So, hi everybody. This is Katarina from Katarina's Garage. As I'm sure you're aware, because you clicked on this video and it's a live stream, and I'm only the only one that is on these because I don't open it up to anybody yet. But in the future, I will have guests and stuff like that. But I never plan these out though. They're always uh, these are always just completely random times. So with that in mind, it's 1:30 in the morning here in Alberta. Um, and yeah, I'm just currently playing the game and whatever else right now. It's not doing too much, but yeah, I am. I don't know. What I did want to mention, as I'm sure you saw in the thumbnail, that or not the thumbnail, but the title. Yes, I did sell the Lumina, which is awesome. It was honestly though, it was just a punt. Didn't make any money on it, but had it for so long. Kid was really interested in the car, and he just bought it. I may have been able to make a little bit of money on it, but oh well. You know what? It's fine. I didn't really try too hard on that negotiation. Typically I do, but this one I just wanted it gone, and I could use the money right now that I got from commission on it. So with that in mind, I got my commission out of it, and technically I made money on the car, but my dad lost money on the car. So because I did all the work, he just financed it. So I listed it, I talked with all the people, I did the oil change, I did all the detailing of it, I changed the wheels on it myself. It's all that stuff, right? It adds up to quite a bit of time and energy put into something. And considering it was August 20th that we acquired that car, so that's quite a long time to hold on to a flip car. That was supposed to be a quick flip, but unfortunately, it just did not turn out that way. However, that's okay. I never really did a proper video on that car either, and I meant to, but just didn't get around to doing it, unfortunately. But it's all good. To be honest, it's just a '91 Lumina Euro. It's not nothing too special that way. Like, it's a cool car. Don't get me wrong, and I would have kept it potentially if it had heat, but it didn't have any heat, and I just didn't want to go through the headaches of figuring out why it was, because I already have too many projects as it is. Like, there's there's Stitch, there's Papa Smurf, and then Lilo might be coming back, so that's gonna be another project. And although that one won't be much of a project, it really doesn't need much at all. It needs a new top, it needs some interior detailing, really, and it's gonna need a water pump and like a throttle linkage. That's really it, and any future work that it might need. But it's not like a car that I'm going to be wrenching on all the time and stuff like that. That'll just be drive it, enjoy it, love it. You know, because that's what I did with it in the first place. Because yeah, we'll see for sure though if I get that car or not. Just trying to get the money together, and with the Lumina sale, that's definitely helped. So, you know, that's a little bit of the way there, but I still need a lot more. And unfortunately, I had my credit card bill today, so I could have put that off, but you know what? I decided to pay off some more on my credit card. Like, something that'd be nice right now is if I had the money from my RESP, because there's over 14 grand in there, and I could just buy the car and not worry. Um, and I could sort of justify pulling that for that car, but I'll just wait on that. Yeah, it wasn't. It had zero heat whatsoever, and I had a suspicion that it was probably not the heater core itself, but it was probably due to the fact that those cars have an issue of actually getting air in the system and causing them to have heat. Oh, hey, Waste of Talent Fabrication. Actually doing pretty good overall. It's I had a bout of COVID and stuff like that, which was not good, and I'm still dealing with after effects of that. But overall, pretty good though. Hope you're doing well yourself. And yeah, it's a long time no chat. See, like for example, that little cough there, my throat has been sore. I can't get rid of it. Like I have some of this fisherman's friend stuff and trying that, but hasn't really worked out. Yeah, it like I can function again, which is nice. Because before it was just like for the first few days of having COVID, oh god, I could barely function. Breathing was a little more difficult and stuff like that. So yeah. Ah, fair enough. I knew this one wasn't like anything electrical wise, only because or like a blender or anything like that. Due to the fact that that the blower motor worked and everything like that, but it was just same as the AC worked as well, but um the other stuff that didn't, like it was just not putting out any heat, right? So probably flush out the system, and there's a good chance it would work because again, it was very common for these to do that. And I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling sickly there. It's not fun. Hopefully, it's just a cold or a flu or something like that, and not COVID. Because I can tell you, COVID, no fun, no bueno. Although some people don't have didn't have near as many issues with COVID as I did. But I do have underlying health issues and stuff like that that made it worse. Um, so there is that, such as my asthma. I already deal with lightheadedness and nausea on a daily basis. Um, so it was just amplified with that. And then now, like I said, I have this sore throat, so it's not good. But it is what it is. Oh, is it gonna hit? Nah, I missed. Yeah, because what I'm doing right now, I'm playing World of Tanks while streaming to you guys. So multitasking. Because playing artillery, you can kind of do that actually. It's kind of nice. I've played this game for 10 years now, so it's fun. Um, but yeah, because Lilo, what's cool though, because getting that car back potentially, because she's an '86 Mustang LX convertible that I sold last summer, to a guy, and I sold it to him on the stipulation that I get first right refusal, right? And he's giving me that. He's giving me a 2 week deadline to come up with $3,600. So we'll see if I'm going to be able to do that. Friend of mine has said that he should be able to get the money together and loan me the money. So that'll be good. And I don't care if I'm owing money for a few months or a year or whatever. That's fine because I really want that car back. I never wanted to sell it in the first place, and now that I have the opportunity to get it back, that is absolutely my plan. And because that car really was a good car, but unfortunately, the motor got cooked in it. Driving that thing around, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, the Tasha's in here. Cool. Um, yeah, it definitely is, and thank you. Hopefully I can. I think I should be able to, but we'll see. Because right now, basically, so 2 weeks puts me right about at February 1st. I get paid February 1st, anyways, so that's nice. Plus, I should get a payout from YouTube as well. Um, and yeah. Oh, interesting. That's an interesting way of it not working because of that. Cause yeah, with me right now, cause my main focus is trying to get that car back. At the moment, will be a huge kind of boost to what's going on. Um, and she wouldn't be on the road for a bit. Not just because of winter, because to be honest, I drove that car in the winter. I would drive that car in the winter again. convertibles, you know, they have some issues in the winter, but here's the thing: this car had better heat than what Stitch does currently, and it also had better traction. But it makes sense that it had better traction because all the added weight, which is a little over 300 pounds actually, difference between Stitch and Lilo, that weight was over the back wheels because of the convertible top motor, right? So, having said that, it really made a difference. The thing never got stuck, it never slid, and now she has a new heart. So, oh, for sure, Tasha, that is definitely true. Like, there is, because yeah, like I said, I could if I really wanted to, which I've contemplated doing this, but we'll see if I do it or not. And I doubt I will, but because I have an RESP set up that basically it's like money for schooling that was put away when I was born, right? And there's over 14 grand in that account. I think with you know, inflation and interest and all that stuff, it's probably closer to like 16 or 17 now. But I don't know. I checked it. I think it was like 2 years ago. Because I was looking at that point to try and pull it, and it was just a pain in the ass at the time to try and do that. But because what I would do is like if I did, I'd use the $3,600 to buy my car back, and then afterwards I would just put the rest of it in sort of savings, like keep like $1,000 in my bank account, the rest in savings. So and that'd be great. And I could hold on to that money for a while, and it would do a lot of good actually, and a lot of good for the channel, and I could do what I want with my car and stuff like that. Could make quite a lot of content out of that. So it'd be a win-win-win all the way around, to be honest, to do that. Because and the thing is, when I sold Lilo in the summer, well, actually, it was just before summer. I think it was spring. When I sold her, I sold her for $2,700. And then I actually used that money to travel around a bunch, get a bunch of videos done, meet a bunch of people, network, all that different stuff. It was good actually. That money came in real handy with all that stuff. But yeah, and that basically lasted me throughout the entire summer, so it was great. Oh yeah, definitely. And the thing is, the person who would be lending me the money, oddly enough, is the guy I actually got the car off of in the first place. Because if anybody has been around my channel long enough, or has just gone back and looked, what I actually did to acquire that car. Because, okay, the story is interesting. We have to go back quite a ways, actually. We go back to when I first met Greg. Now, Greg, as I'm sure you're aware, I mean, you might not be, but Greg is the guy that I've sold a lot of cars for, and we have a very good relationship, actually. He's a good friend of mine now. And yeah, it was good. And it's been good. I've actually, he said that even paying the commission to me that he has, I've made him more money than what he would have made selling these vehicles, because I know the values better than what he does. And there's quite a few that I've sold that he was amazed I was able to get as much as I did. Some of them have been less, but that happens, right? Sometimes you take the money in hand that's there right at this moment. And yeah. But anyways, so when I met Greg, oddly enough, Stitch wasn't on the road, and actually I did not have my license at the time. So I only had learner's permit at the time. So I Stitch, again, not on the road, still working on it, stuff like that. I was seeing if anybody had in town actually any Fox body parts, right? And he replies to it and says, "Oh yeah, I actually have an '83 coupe." He sends me a couple pictures. I'm like, okay, I will go. I'll check it out, right? So I walk all the way to his property, which bear in mind is about a 4 kilometer walk from here. So it took me about half an hour to do it. I got there and look at the car, and it was too rough for me at the time. I could not really use any parts off of it and whatever else. So okay, fine. But kind of keep in contact and that sort of thing. And then we get to, well, I noticed on his property that he has a bunch of cars, and he has one car that I was very interested in. Was a Mercury Capri. And we struck up a deal to where if I sold a certain amount of basically my like a commission deal type idea of $1,400 total, or no, I think it was $1,400 that he would give me the Capri as payment. But cool, I was game for that. No worries. Unfortunately, well, I've only sold one of those cars at that point, and you know what? We squared up on other vehicles instead at the property, and it all worked out. Later on, I actually ended up buying that '83 Mustang, and that was actually here on the channel for a little bit. The car was just a piece of crap, though. It was horrible, bad shape. I took the seats out of it and the carpet and the rear defrost switch. That's it. The rest of it, I ended up actually selling it to a guy who said, yeah, he's gonna rebuild it. Like, cool. Actually, his son was going to, like, he was interested in the car, and his son was gonna rebuild it with him. So just like, cool, that's fine. So I sold it to them, and I made a little bit of money off of that. And that was good. But then, I didn't quite have the Capri in my possession yet. And I got a message from a friend of mine. Like, we had just, I think we met through a Fox Body group or something like that. And we talked a little bit, but not much. And he goes, hey, I didn't really want to ask you this, but, I figured I would. Would you potentially trade your Capri for a Fox Body convertible, an '86? And I'm like, I might actually. Oh, no worries. I can do that myself, to be honest. I only have, I think, like 3 or 4 mods, but my channel's so small that at the moment I don't need it, but definitely appreciate the offer. But anyways, so the story goes with that is I've sold a few vehicles for Greg, and then it comes up, he asked me this, so then I asked Greg just like, hey, could you just give me the Capri now, and we'll work out the details in the future? And he's just like, yeah, sure. So did that. I owned the car for less than 24 hours, and I traded it for Lilo. That I named Lilo, actually, because he didn't have a name for it. And I love that car. I drove it a lot, actually. And it was fantastic. Honestly, love that car. But then, unfortunately, though, like in this Capri, actually, I should mention, it was very deceiving, actually, because it looked mint. Like, interior was a little dirty, but other than that, really no tears or anything like that. Oh, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Okay, I was just checking notifications really quick there. Ah, God. But anyways, so drove the car, and well, actually, I just mentioned with the Capri is because up top, like I said, interior looked in good condition. Motor, we weren't sure the condition of the motor, to be honest. Could never get it to start. Figured out why later. And it was all good. That was a 5-liter automatic with the CFI system in it. which a lot of people will say, wait, CFI in 84 with a 5 liter? No, that didn't exist. Actually, it did if you had an automatic. You could get it. It was an option, and this one happened to have it. Um, and this car underneath was very rusty. But looking at the car itself, you couldn't tell. Like, I crawled underneath of it, but bear in mind it was in grass and stuff like that, so I couldn't see too much. But from what I could see, it looked to be in pretty good shape. Um, you know, and then Keith got it home, and he put it up on the lift and showed me pictures. It's like, oh god, that's bad, you know. But he's repaired some of it, sandblasted, coated it, and it's not going to spread anymore. And he's not sure what he's going to do with that car. Who knows? I might just be getting parts off of it for my car, which I'm not going to unveil what that is yet of what exactly I'm going to do to my car, but soon that might become a reality. And like the cough hurts a little, but it's not that bad. Like, I mean, I have asthma too, so it's definitely amplified by that. Hide user on the channel. And yeah. So, he, and like you said, he still has it. And it had an RS hood on it. It was not an RS car, but it had an RS hood. And what was interesting is trying to decode the VIN. There's an interesting story, because I look at a couple of websites, and there's one website that said that it could be an ASC McLaren. I'm going, huh? No way, this is not an ASC. I didn't think so, but I looked into it, and yeah, it actually wasn't. But so that was kind of an interesting thing, right? And if you know anything about the ASC McLarens, they're a very rare car. All of them either had like, because that was the American Sunroof Company mixed with McLaren. It was kind of weird. They also made ASC McLaren convertible Capris, which look kind of weird actually. They're cool, but not very many of those made, and not very many of the ASC McLarens in general. They had suspension upgrades, they had engine upgrades and stuff like that, and for their time, they were actually a quick little car. But yeah, in very, very small numbers, like I think they may have made more Celine Mustangs versus ASC McLaren Capris. But there's a few ways to tell an ASC McLaren from a regular Capri or Mustang, and it's there's a few things, but oh, that was kind of the plan, to be honest. Like, the CFI system is terrible. I would know because Lilo had it, and that's what grenaded the motor, was that CFI system. So, in the end, which, I mean, granted, it wasn't, I didn't fully grenade that motor, but it was on its last legs when I sold the car. And that's the only reason why I sold the car, is because, again, the CFI system, the fuel pressure regulator let go and dumped way too much fuel into the cylinders, and actually it was mixing, like the gas was mixing with the oil, so that was not good at all. That's too funny. I'm gonna die. But yeah, what was I gonna say here? I forgot where I was going with that. But yeah, anyways, pretty much actually. And to be honest, the guy is giving me a really good deal. It's funny because I was talking with a friend of mine down in the States, and he was trying to tell me, "Oh, that's a terrible deal. Like, why would you? You're way overpaying." Like, no, it's really not. And this car only needs two things. Because it has a 5 liter in it now, with a Polycarb on it. And Um, and that five liter, like it is a roller motor out of an '86. So that's kind of cool that it's got the same year motor as the car, right? But it's originally a 3.8 car. Um, and so now it's got. He says a performance intake, but I don't know what performance intake he put on it. I'm assuming it's a Holley intake because it's got a Holley carb on it. And yeah, it's got dual exhaust. Although the headers are not ideal, the headers themselves look kind of rusty. So yeah, but that's fine, and it's great. And actually, I was just reading that Celine comment here. I'd be one of those people that might drive a Celine in the snow. But again, I am in the minority with that for sure. But here's the thing: I don't really park my cars. Like, as I'm sure you're well aware, I drive my cars year round. But I don't have the luxury of a garage or anything like that. So really, like parking them, okay, I'm parking them outside. They're still in the snow anyways. What's the point? Oh God, that one was not good. Not much salt here in Alberta either, to be honest. Like, don't get me wrong. Do we salt the roads? Kind of. We use a salt sand mix, but I think it's like a 90-10 split or something like that. So like 90% sand, 10% salt. So actually, all over Canada, there are two places that people covet vehicles from, and that is BC, because depending on where you are in BC, to be honest, like they don't really get snow or anything like that. And here in Alberta, because again, we don't really use much for salt at all. So it really does come out that way. I don't know. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, hopefully it's not too bad though. Because yeah, like in GTI, like what year is your GTI? Because those are kind of cool. But yeah, it's just some fun stuff that way, and and I'll still continue to drive my cars year round, whatever else, until I have a garage and a proper daily driver. Because like, here's the thing: when the Civic is on the road, it'll probably end up being my daily driver. Um, and it's so funny how many comments I got of people saying, "Well, why don't you just sell Papa Smurf to buy Lilo back?" And I keep telling people, well, for one, Papa Smurf is not my car. It's technically my dad's. Although it'll probably end up being mine in the future, but it's not mine currently. So there's that. But then also, I wouldn't do that anyways, because for one, the Civic is not worth much at all. Oh wow. Methanol injection on a 2011 GTI. That's pretty badass, actually. Actually, yes, my dad, he has stayed COVID free. We live in the same household and everything, but he never tested positive. Um, he was doing rapid tests like every day, and none of them came back positive. So that was a really good thing, actually. It was just me who suffered really bad. But so I am happy that he didn't have to go through what I went through. And yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's just like, and it's too bad that so much of my family got COVID. And I don't know if I was the originator, or if my cousin was, or if her kids were. I don't know for sure. because like before I tested positive, like a week before I tested positive for COVID, I was actually sick for like a couple of days, but it really wasn't that bad to be honest. Just like a cold, it kind of kicked my ass a little bit. Didn't really think anything of it, but that could have been preliminary to COVID. It's possible, but again, I didn't really think much of it. So then, a week later, I go see family, and then on Boxing Day, you know, I'm sick and badly sick. So yeah, it's not fun, and I would definitely not recommend anybody get it. That's why at the end of my videos, I'll typically say, and I hope you're staying safe during COVID-19, right? Because it's true. It is not great at all. There are some people that will not have like hardly any issues when if they get COVID. That's fine. And at this point, I'm pretty sure that the bulk of the population is going to get COVID at some point, whichever variant it is. But yeah. I mean, nowadays, yeah, seems that way. Oh, hey, PLO 420, how's it hanging? Definitely appreciate you coming to the live stream. Haven't seen you in one of these for a while. I've seen you put a couple comments here and there, but you know, uh, I would say everybody's had it. There's still a lot of people that haven't yet, but by the time COVID is done, I would say that we're basically the bulk of us are going to get it, unfortunately. But and the thing is, I do have. It's interesting because now, since I had it, I have a natural sort of immunity for a little bit, anyways. I think it's like it's a few months, but realistically, it's not a permanent thing. Like everybody says, like there's a lot of people that try and say, "Hey, if you get COVID, you're not going to ever get it again." Well, that's not true. I know people that have had it multiple times. So yeah, and it's not good. And there's some people that don't notice it at all. Like it's not really on their radar. You know, it just for some people it just feels like a cold or a flu. Which for me, it just felt like a really, really bad cold. Like to the point of where I could barely function though, cold. But cold nonetheless, right? And yeah, and I hadn't been feeling sick like that in probably over a decade. So yeah, that's no fun. Hopefully she's okay. I'm assuming she is if she's already had it twice before. But yeah, and like, because I don't know how my family is doing with it. I haven't really contacted too many of them recently. Let's clean this freaking camera screen. Hang on. That's good. There we go. That's a little better. And I kind of like this angle action on the camera. To be honest, it's a little different than what I usually do. But it's because you can kind of see the turbo here, right? Which I like that. Yeah, that's shitty. Like, because normally, if you have the vaccine for measles or mumps, you don't get it. So, compared to say COVID vaccines, where it's not a hey, it's going to make you immune. No, because I'm double vaccinated and I got it. But the thing is, it just makes it so that you're less likely to end up in the hospital for it. So, which is good because it could have easily landed me in the ER, 100%. So, and I'm glad it didn't. And I will say that it's probably because of the vaccine. So, Yeah, and it's interesting actually because I was hesitant on getting my third dose, and I was going to actually book my third dose in, but then I got sick and had COVID. So, and now I'm actually have a doctor's appointment towards the end of the month, and I'm gonna actually ask her if is it okay if I go for a third dose or not right away here, or should I wait because I just had COVID? I don't know. So, um, yeah, with the effects that I've been going through, although the fatigue is all but gone. I've been a little tired, but I think that's more just my own doing. So that's not so bad. I haven't had as many issues like working on the car, for example, because I'm not sure if you guys saw, but I was doing videos on actually draining the fuel tank in um, Pop Smurf and actually showing a way of cleaning the tank without dropping it if you have a Honda that has, the drain plug. Well, that's shitty. Yeah, and unfortunately, like, the thing is, if there's anybody with COVID around, yeah, I'm not gonna meet with them or anything like that, and I'm not gonna do that. Also, like, if there's now, I will like drop stuff off at people's doors. For example, if one of my friends got it here in town, I would have no worries helping them out however I can in that regard. But I'm not stepping foot in their house or anything like that. I'll just leave it at their door and that sort of thing. Because actually, one of my friends right now, although he's not actually in town, he's at his girlfriend's house in Airdrie, but he has COVID. And he's not actually home because, well, he's a volunteer firefighter, and if he went home and then they all got it, well, there's 4 volunteer firefighters that live in that household. So that could really be bad. So, well, the thing is, modern gasoline doesn't really varnish. That's old gas that does that. What modern gas does, because of the ethanol in it, it actually evaporates, right? We don't have the lead gasoline anymore, which the lead caused the gas to actually varnish. So, because it's interesting, you can have modern gas and it'll evaporate within about a year. So, there is that. But with yours with methanol injection, though, it might have an effect on that. So, although I definitely wouldn't want to, I would definitely drain the tank when you get it back to running again before you do. Just in case, because, yeah, there's probably like deposits and stuff like that, but actually varnishing the gas, it's not really much of a thing anymore. So, but yeah, like in that video that I filmed on the fuel tank, it's really cool that Honda actually designed their fuel tanks to have a drain plug in them. And that actually, they kept that design right up until the EG Civic. After the EG Civic, which I think was the EF Civic, they got rid of that. But, and I think it's just because they realized they didn't really need it anymore as much. Oh, I'm sure. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've never really heard of it like properly varnishing though. Like, don't get me wrong, they'll go bad, but actually turning into like varnish and into more of a solid type idea isn't as much of a thing anymore. So that's all I'm trying to say. But it doesn't mean, yeah, you can just run it through your system that's bad. And it's funny though, of because what I did in that Civic video is I drained it and then I put vinegar in it actually. And it's so funny of how many comments I got that, oh, like not actually on the video itself, but through Facebook and stuff like that because that's where I advertise. And the thing is, there were so many people like these keyboard mechanics that said, "Oh, you may have just ruined your car by putting vinegar in the tank." I'm going, okay, it's in there for a day, not a month, right? Because yes, if you have it in there for long periods of time, it could eat away the tank. But all I was doing was just getting any dirt or loose pieces of stuff that's potentially in there. For the vinegar to kind of eat at it a little bit, so it's easier to come out. That's all I was doing. So, wasn't that wonderful? Um, and yeah, because I put the vinegar in it, and when I drained it today, honestly, it wasn't dirty at all. There was one little piece of like I don't know what it was that came out of the tank because like I had to actually dislodge it because it was blocking the everything coming out, and it did not smell great. Like, but here's the thing: vinegar mixed with old gas and whatever else is in that tank, it's not shocking that it didn't smell that great. And unfortunately, I had to let some of it spill under the ground because my container was not big enough. So, my fault. But I didn't drain my because I used actually my oil pickup tank thing. So, yeah, which worked out just fine, to be honest. It just again some of it spilled out, but really there was maybe about 3 liters of gas in that tank, and I think the majority of that got into the container, and the rest of that was just kind of vinegar. So, that spilled on the ground, which I don't care if the vinegar's on the ground, right? It'll just seep into my driveway. No worries there. It's not oil or gasoline, which is like really, really bad. But yeah, so. Ah. Yeah, this after effects of COVID sucks. I hate it. I hate it. But at least I don't have the issues like I did before of, the fatigue and all that stuff. So there's that. But this damn cough. It's not great. And the sore throat, again, not great. Like, I had two of these fisherman friends. It was only temporary, and it only lasted, like, until I was done with them and, like, maybe 5 minutes after, so it kind of defeats the purpose. So, but it's fine. I'll, hopefully in the future, I'll get over that. That's true. I mean, still, though, even though that, yes, my cars are put a dent on the, ecosystem for sure when it comes to that sort of thing, but, because they're not exactly like cleaning or anything like that. But not that modern cars are really that good for the environment anyway. But, yeah, there is a thing though, like, I do care about the environment to a certain extent, but, I don't really go out of my way to, help with stuff, though, I will admit. Because, again, I drive classic cars and stuff like that, that are carbureted, that I rip out the emissions stuff. Although the emissions don't really do anything, like, back then, Modern emissions do a lot better in regards to actually not polluting. But old emission systems really didn't do much at all. So, yeah, it's one of those deals, right? And like in my car, because, well, Stitch, for example, there is not a single emission system left on that. And like the Civic only has one emissions thing entirely, which is a charcoal canister, which I will be deleting that charcoal canister actually out of it. It'll run better without it, and yeah, it's pretty simple. And especially with no computers, because that thing doesn't even have electronic ignition. Like, it has zero computerization. So Like it's a points in condenser. Which I was kind of surprised as points in condenser in '78 with all the other stuff that Honda did, that they didn't just go to electronic ignition at that point. So yeah, because like I think Ford and Chrysler did that in the '70s. So oh yeah. The thing is, we don't have emissions testing here in Alberta, so realistically, you can, or even, um, or even like a visual test or anything. They don't care at all. They care about the safety, not that. And hey, no worries, Tasha. I definitely appreciate you coming out to live stream. Um, enjoy, your sleep, and hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow. Oh, electronic ignition in the Mustang in '75, or like in Fords? Uh, possibly. I don't know what year they actually went to the electronic ignition. I just know the May 81 has it, and like in Chrysler did the electronic ignition in, I think it was '76. I want to say. Uh, see me. Oh, really? I hit. How did I hit that? God damn it. Yeah, game is trolling me here. Oh, emissions starting. Um, it's actually earlier than that. Depending on where you are, of course. Like California actually had emissions starting in, I think it was '66 or '67. Um, but like mandated in the U.S. Would have been, it was 1973 of like catalytic converters and stuff like that, and here in Canada it would have been about the same year. At least it started to, like, I think it was '74 was the exact year. I could be wrong though. It may have been '75, but yeah. Um, and it was an awful time, and especially with all that emission stuff, they just choked those engines so bad. That's why I like. Although with the Civic, like all it has is the charcoal canister. Yes, there we go. Yeah. Oh my god, that's the new. Ugh. Why do they have that thing as okay? Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at something in game here. Um, yeah. So, and the thing is, like, because Honda was able to get away without having a catalytic converter or smog pump on their engines, because they designed the engines to actually be a little more emissions compliant. That way, because they knew entering the U.S. market, they would have had to do that anyway, so they made it really good. Although, not that it, 73, yes, actually, I think it was '71 was the last year that you could get a big block in a Mustang. Because they had the, yeah, I think it was the 429, in '71. And then, yeah, 72, it was small block only from there on out. And they haven't offered a big block in any Mustang since. So, because even the big dog, badass Mustang. In like 71, 72. Well, in 72 was the Boss 351, which most people don't realize that they ever made a Boss 351, but it's true actually. I think it was 71 and 72 only, 2 years, but. Ugh. Not fun, I tell you. Not fun coughing like that. And you can tell my face is turning red from coughing and everything. I was gonna have a bath tonight, but I'll just do that tomorrow. It's fine. But yeah, so because with the emissions, yeah, like, and what I love about the Honda too is how simple it is. And how well made they are too. Um, when a Boss 3, I'm not sure. Wait, Boss 351. They never made a Boss 351 Maverick, unless if somebody swapped in a motor from one of those. Which I'm assuming is what happened there. Oh my god, can I actually hit this guy? Jesus. Okay, fine. I'll hit you instead. Yeah. Because the only V8 that they put in the Maverick is the 302. So yeah. They never ever put the 351 in the Maverick. 351 was exclusive to, well, everything but the Maverick and the Pinto, I think, at the time. So, can I hit this guy? Him. Oh, definitely him. Nah, come on. Damn tank. Although, interestingly enough, though, with the Maverick compared to the Mustang more, is you could actually get the 250 inline six in the Maverick. You could in the Mustang as well, but the Maverick came exclusively with the 250. I don't think they put the 200 in them. I could be wrong, but yeah. I mean, hey, big blocks are always fun. Definitely fun. Like, it's not something I'm gonna do to my Fox, but if you want to do it, hey, go for it. Just as long as you can afford to do it and afford the gasolina that it's gonna cost, because there's no such thing as a fuel efficient big block. And that's fair. Now, are you looking at like a 460, a 429, a 427? Like, what are you looking for? I'm assuming 460, but or really, you're just looking for some Ford big block in general, because yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, that would be cool for sure. Um, and yeah, like, cause actually, your best bet to find if you're looking for a 428 specifically, or even a 429 that's not, the boss motor, is actually find a Thunderbird from like 68 to 1970. You can typically find them that, they are beaten up to hell, but they still run and drive just fine, and you can pick them up for like less than $1,000. Or like a grand, just depending. So, just some food for thought for you there. Because, yeah, like in those Thunderbirds, for whatever reason, they just do not retain their value at all. So, they go for like I typically see them around the $1,000 range. For ones that, like, are not, they don't look horrific, actually, so. And then out of that, you get, your 9-inch rear end, you get the C6 if you're going automatic, or, whatever. Yeah, that's another way to find it, too. Because, like, the only junkyard that I could find potentially something like that at is in Tilly, Alberta here. It's a place called Flatla Auto Wrecking, and he has over 3,000 cars there. And the bulk of them are actually pre-1983, I believe it is. So, which I gotta get down there, to be honest. I don't know, maybe we'll see if I can get down there in the next few weeks, or maybe even in the summertime, because I need to see if there's a Fox Body in there that has sail panels. It's, I mean, yeah, and sometimes they're worth saving, and sometimes they're not, but, that's just how it goes, right? Ugh. God, that just feels horrible. Cause yeah, like there's a lot of cars I want to save, and like today, and I was thinking about it, but I didn't do it. I just wanted to share the news with my dad that hey, I sold the Lumina, right? And I gave him his money. Then he gave me $40, and then plus the e-transfer that I got from the guy itself. So I made $140 off that deal. So, well, minus what I actually had into it, I made I think about $80 off that car. So because technically I put a little bit of money into it. So did my dad. My dad put the bulk of the money into it. That's how it goes. But yeah, I definitely sort of, yeah. Let's see. See, now something that I've considered doing if I ever find one is if I find a notchback T-top that is just like roached, or maybe it got T-boned or something like that, right? Or rear-ended, blah blah blah. Is cutting the roof out of it and putting it on stitch. Because I'd love T-tops, like factory T-tops, and not this crap with aftermarket T-tops back in the day, because they never fit right. And you'll never ever find parts for the aftermarket T-top stuff. You want original T-top. So, because they still make parts for those. So, yeah. And like I said, it's something I've considered. It's not like a, hey, I'm gonna do it. Because it's a lot of work involved. But it'd be so worth it. So worth it. I mean, I like sunroofs, don't get me wrong. But T-tops are better. Now, how does he have that? That just came out. That must be a contributor. Huh. Oh yeah, and they can definitely leak, and it's not unsurprising when they do. Yeah, I mean we're actually talking about T tops, but convertibles are fun too. Trust me, I love me a good convertible. You know, like Lilo that I might be buying back. Um, ooh. But yeah, like talking about sunroofs and T tops actually. Because yeah, it's not unusual for sunroofs and T tops for a fact to leak. Most do. Um, over course of time. But once you put seals on them and stuff like that, they're not too bad. Well, I missed completely where I was aiming. Okay. But yeah, and it's just one of those things that would be cool to put T tops in my car if I could find a donor roof. So, which I'm sure I could if I looked hard enough. See, and I love the coupes more than the hatchbacks, although the practicality of a hatchback is nice. But the overall look, coupe all the way for me. At least when it comes to the Fox bodies. Earlier generations, the fastback looks better. At least again, that's my opinion. But and we're all entitled to our own opinions, and that's fine. It's all good. Yeah, and that's what makes us human and car enthusiasts. Is we all have differing opinions. Because it would suck if we all like the same thing, right? Like in the end, because you'd have no variety in cars whatsoever. Everybody would drive the same thing. Just be boring. Although I say that, and everybody drives, LS swap Fox bodies. Oh, definitely, definitely. Like my favorite of the first gen coupes is the '67 California Special Mustangs. Oh my god. Yeah, it's not good. It's definitely not good. They definitely do. Like the later coupes just don't look right with the first gens at all. I mean, once you get to like the Mustang 2, I actually prefer the coupes over the hatchbacks on that, and then the Fox body again, same thing. Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I love, like my personal favorite year of the Mustang is 1969. And actually, quite a few of my favorite years of cars are 1969. Like favorite year Chevelle, 69. Favorite year Firebird again, 69. Mustang, 69. And I am impartial to like a 68 or 69, like Fairlane as well, slash Torino, because it's the same car. Which, fun fact, my first car was almost a 68 Ford Fairlane. See, I don't know if I'd want a Boss 9. I think I'd much rather have a Boss 302, just for the handling aspect of it. Oh, you have a 69 Mach? Oh, my heart right there. Because, yeah, I love me a Mach 1 as well. Like, especially the 69, too. With that shaker hood and everything, it's just gorgeous. You know, just and again that 69 nose is just beautiful. And I would do just about anything to own a 69 Mustang. Because I can actually, a friend of mine has me searching for like any 69 to 72 Mustangs, and 69 to 72 most things actually. Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. Um, you know, and just about any configuration too. Oh come on, damn it! These guys are just evaporating too quickly before I can even do any damage. Ah! I actually did hit it too. Oh, and that one really you drowned. Interesting. Most people don't go for the convertibles of those years. That's kind of cool, actually. Um, which that'd be sweet too. Like, and I love the 71 to 73, um, as well. And to a certain extent, I'd almost want it more than a first gen Mustang. Like you know I mean, technically that's still a first gen Mustang, but you know the 70 and back is what I mean. Although growing up, I always thought that the 71 to 73 Mustangs were a different generation. Found out later on, obviously, that they were not. But growing up, I never saw the similarities in them until I got older. So, and found out that, hey, they're different generations. Because that's what confused me when I was younger, too, because hearing, oh, a Mustang 2 being 74 to 78, it's just like, but wait, isn't that the third gen Mustang, right? It's just one of those deals. Oh, they look killer. Don't get me wrong. I don't have to look up a video to know why they are. There's just a lot of people that don't go for the convertibles, um, because I think they just don't look as right. That would be an interesting combination, actually. I would love to see one like that, and that'd be the 250 inline six too. Yeah, 250 with a four-speed manual. Like, it's interesting actually because some of the rarer first-gen Mustangs, because they did build them, is finding a fastback with the inline six. They did make them, not very many, and I think they were special order. So, fair enough. Oh, you have one of those too? Jeez. How many Mustangs do you have? Because I swear, every time you come into any of my live streams, it seems like I'm learning about another car you have. I'll say that's cool. Okay, you have three Mustangs. Okay. Like, and I love the inline six, obviously, motors. They're just so smooth, and they're really amazing that way. They don't produce a lot of power, but you can make them make power. That's what's really cool about them. And the sound they make too is a really nice sound. 65, 87. Wait, I thought you said that you had the 72 convert. I'm confused. You have confuzzled me, sir. Oh, okay, because you did mention that you got one. That's why I was confused. Oh wait, you were talking about inline six first gen. Okay, that's what you meant. Apologies, I finally figured that out. Really, 97 damage. That's it. Ugh. Yeah, and like, because the thing is, I was mentioning though, is inline six fastbacks because yours is a Koopa, if I remember correctly, which are actually inline six Koops are actually quite common because there was more inline sixes made versus V8s, which that's the funny part. And there are so many people that say, "Oh, it's not a real Mustang if it doesn't have a V8 in it." The very first Mustang ever made had an inline six. Wait, it is a fastback? Why did I think it was a coupe? Huh, that is interesting. There's so many people like actually in. I'm part of a group on Facebook called the Vintage Mustang Six Forum, and everybody's always looking for one of those. So, like with the inline six being a fastback. Like, and those guys are like way more in love with the inline six than I am, but I still love inline sixes. Like, and I almost prefer them over V8s. But I understand V8 is always going to make more horsepower and torque. Stock. That's a given. But like my car though, because when it's built out, like it'll beat up on stock 5-liter cars. And actually, I'll be curious to see, because if I get Lilo back, how is it going to be compared to Stitch when Stitch is all built out? So with 302 in it, so that'll be kind of a neat comparison, actually. Ah, okay, that's fair. I mean, and to be honest, even if you did swap out the inline six, I wouldn't have blamed you. Just like if you decided to swap out the original 3-speed manual, again, I wouldn't blame you. Because a 3-speed top loader isn't exactly super desirable, right? And again, like, I never blame anybody for swapping engines out of cars. You want to make more power and stuff like that, or whatever the reasoning is. It's fine, right? Or maybe you want better fuel economy and you want better power, and that's why people go with like LSs a lot of the time. Although not that many people care about the actual fuel economy aspect of an LS when they're swapping it typically, but they just like to make a shit ton of power, and which they can do easily. So, and that's why everything is LS swap nowadays. Plus, they're cheap, so there's that too. And I'm not a proponent of LSs, obviously. Like, they have their, don't get me wrong. They have their applications for sure. They're just not for me. And they're a great engine. But you'll never catch me LS swapping my car. There might be a car in the future that I own that I LS swap. And, something I considered, because I owned, if you remember, if you were around on my channel or not back then, I briefly owned an 84 Vandura 2500 conversion van. It had the it had a 350 with a 700R4 in it, and the thing actually ran pretty good. But I had considered, like, okay, if I'm gonna keep this vehicle, because I contemplated it and ended up keeping it, obviously, that maybe putting an LS in it wouldn't be a bad thing. Because, you know, you get more power, you get better fuel economy, that sort of thing. I didn't really care about keeping it original at that point. But, because it had a rusty body and stuff like that, and, you know, it was a good vehicle overall, though. And it actually, it's funny, that thing sat in the bush for 10 years. I didn't even change the spark plugs on it. I didn't change plug wires. I didn't do anything. The only thing I did was change. Actually, I didn't even change the oil. Oh, no, I did change the oil in that thing. Yes, I did one oil change. Because that's what I like to do when I sell cars is make sure, hey, that actually run and drive, put fresh oil in it. It's a nice selling point for people. Yeah, I likely would not LS swap a Ford either, but also I'd likely never well, I'd never LS swap a Dodge though for sure. Because here's the thing, like I own a Ford and I've owned quite a few Fords at this point, but I'm actually more of a Mopar slash AMC gal, but I love my Fords as well, right? And like obviously, you know, and Ford has kind of won me over after owning Stitch. And then owning Lilo as well for the time that I did has definitely made my Ford experience quite nice. Like, obviously, you know, I've had issues with Stitch, but she's never not really started. You know, I can always get her going, and she'll always be dependable and stuff like that. And she's never broken down on me. You know, I've put how many miles have I put on that car since I owned it? It had 104,000 kilometers, and I think I have 125,000. So you know, putting on 21,000 kilometers or so on the car. Actually, no, not quite 21. What am I talking about? I think it's like 15, 15 or 20,000 kilometers without really any issues. Minor shit, yes, that's a given though. Oh man, he moved. Crap, I didn't think he was gonna do that. Well, you know, it's funny because I've actually seen. It was a second gen Camaro. It was on or I think it was Pastime. If you remember that show back on Speed Channel back in the day. Um, and it had a 460 in it, and it's like, and it's the first ever time I had seen a Ford swap in a Chevy. Okay, you remember that one? Well, it's like one of my favorite things too was actually on Pastime. There was a guy that had it was a beater Fox body Mustang, and he said it had 200,000 miles on it. It had a cam in it and whatever else, and you know, it's just that's pretty much like a mild cam, blah blah blah. And the thing is, the guy when he got like he does his burnout, and they're just like, that thing sounds pretty healthy for 200,000 miles. And the guy does a massive wheelies and dips into the I think it was like the A-second range. Like it was hilarious. And yeah, it definitely did, but oh, that was fantastic. And I love that everybody on the show after that, in that episode that had a a 302 in their car, they said, "Yeah, I have the same cam as that last guy." Right? Just super super funny. Like I'd love to be that person. You know, with Stitch for example. It's like, yeah, you know, it's just a simple little inline six, and then you start it up and it just rumbles away, and it's really badass. And smokes the doors off of what anybody thinks that it's gonna run. Like, I wish Pastime was still a show, to be honest. I really like that show. Because it's not really like any really like amazing automotive shows anymore. Like, don't get me wrong, I watch a lot of automotive shows, but they're not the same as what Speed Channel had back in the day. I mean, like you had Pigs All Out, and you had Pastime and all that stuff. Um, I don't remember being there an electric truck on there. I'll have to look that up. I'm sure somebody has that on YouTube. So, in fact, I can just about guarantee that. I missed my target. See, the one thing that I didn't like about the original Pinks was all the bull crap going on with it. Like the idea of the show was great, and when there was actually people doing the proper thing, it was cool. But there was so much like sandbagging and games being played, and it's just not as good as it could have been. That's all. I still enjoyed the show. Don't get me wrong, but oh my god, ugh. Ah. Yeah, I mean, like, and later on with Speed Channel, I know why they tanked. This is like their shows just became kind of crap for the most part. Um, and they went more towards the reality show route and whatever else, and I think that ruined the integrity of Speed. Because Speed Channel was really cool, and like, what was interesting about Speed Channel is when they first started, they would put the 24-hour of Le Mans on and not do commercials. Like, that was incredible that they did that. Because, yeah, it's like a bad idea nowadays, absolutely. And it was probably a bad idea then to do it. But they did. And they didn't care. And it was fantastic. I mean, I didn't mind them giving cars back and whatever else, and, settling with, like, um, that. I was totally fine with that. Because, like, it was mostly just people, like, there's a lot of people that just wanted to race each other and have a really good time that way, right? And, be on TV and stuff, and I understand that. And, like, and I'd have a hard time. I mean, I would never put my car on the line like that. Um, I would always, yeah, I would never gamble my car like that. Don't get me wrong, there are cars that I would buy specifically to, like, hey, gamble this, sure, why not? I don't care. But, definitely not any of the cars I own right now, so. But I always wanted to build a car for Pinks, actually, and do that when I was younger. That would have been cool, but, the show doesn't exist anymore, so. And, but like, that racing sort of culture has come back in full stride though with shows like that. Like not Pink's, but like with Pink's All Out, for example. Well, you can look at the Street Outlaws stuff, and they have their No Prep King series, and now they have America's List, and oh my, he came to the really. Oh my god. Oh. Yeah, that does not feel great. Um. Yeah, see, that'd be cool. But yeah. Anyways, I think I'll end the live stream here. Obviously, you can tell my cough is getting worse and whatever else. So, yeah. Anyways, I definitely appreciate everybody that came out tonight. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night here and a wonderful day tomorrow as well. Hope you're staying safe during COVID-19. Good luck with whatever you're working on, and well, I will catch you in the next video. Peace.